Hi, I'm Hildy Gottlieb with Creating the Future. In this flash class, I'm going to share with you a decision-making practice that can help when your options feel overwhelming. Each of us makes thousands of decisions every day. Most of those decisions are simple, but sometimes the range of options and issues can feel overwhelming. Interestingly, the root of that overwhelmed feeling lies in the mechanics of how our brains work. And so in this short video, I first want to share the science of what's happening when a decision feels overwhelming. From there, I want to show you a practice that will use your brain's own mechanics to help you feel confident in making decisions regardless of the topic. There are all sorts of scenarios that lead our brains to tilt towards overload. Sometimes simply knowing we have a ton of options can be overwhelming. Sometimes, though, we believe we have the answer, only to encounter others who feel they have the answer. And sometimes we can't even figure out what the options are. To make things simple, let's consider only the scenario where we know the options, but we're overwhelmed trying to choose between them. When we get to that overwhelmed place, we often talk about seeking clarity, a clear choice. Those are not just figures of speech. A big part of our inability to choose is actually because we can't see which answer to choose. The human brain is deeply rooted in our ability to see. As a matter of fact, when a person loses their eyesight and is asked to imagine an elephant, brain scans show the visual cortex lighting up even though that person is blind. In their mind's eye, they're using the same neural pathways to envision that elephant as they would if they could actually see. And note the word vision in that word envision. So much of our language includes references to seeing. When our options all blur into each other, that blur actually handicaps our very visual brains. The brain is trying to see things clearly, but all it finds is a murky mess. In addition to that visual handicap, our brains also have emotion-driven handicaps. The decision itself may have emotion attached to it, such as helping an aging parent decide what's next in their journey. Or it could be the circumstances around the decision. For example, trying to prioritize when you have too many projects all due at once. And then there's the emotional impact of our frustration as we try to see through the muck. Regardless of the cause, those emotions generate the same fight or flight response that happens when we're in physical danger. So now the brain is not only unable to see clearly, but its reaction to that frustration, releasing anxiety-causing chemicals like adrenaline into our veins, makes it even more difficult for us to access the rational parts of our brains. And if we can't access that rational part of the brain, it's no surprise we're having trouble making a decision. The answer, therefore, is to help our brains see the options clearly with as little emotion as possible. And the simplest way we have found to help lay out all those choices is to use a matrix. In an organization like Creating the Future, where all our work is about reaching for what's possible, it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the possibilities. That's why there is barely a decision that we don't matrix. From deciding which aspect of our website to redo first, to deciding which education programs to develop, to choosing which revenue-generating efforts to pursue. It's also why using a matrix is one of the practices included in the catalytic thinking framework. Because releasing those brain blocks goes a long way towards bringing out the best in people in all sorts of situations. By using a matrix, we're able to bring into the light all the otherwise unspoken questions and concerns that have been swimming around in our minds. The matrix makes all those variables visible. By removing both the visual and emotional handicaps, we're unleashing the rational parts of our brains to do what the brain does so well, process information. And that leads to the reason this practice is so powerful. It is empowering to ask yourself clarifying questions like, what do we want to be sure to keep in mind as we make this decision? And it's empowering to bring the answers to those questions into the light, where you can openly examine them, helping the brain move from foggy to clear, one answer at a time. Those questions will help you return to the why of your decision, the real goal you're trying to accomplish, informed by the things that matter most to you. Change the questions, change the world is not just a slogan around here. It is powerfully true. The steps in creating a matrix are simple. Using a chart, first we're going to list all our ideas down the left-hand side. Then we'll list across the top all the questions we want answered about each option. We'll rank the answers to those questions on a scale of 1 to 3, where 1 is bad and 3 is good. And then we'll add them up, and whichever scores the highest is the choice. In this example, idea number 2 is the clear winner. Clear because we can see all the reasons why it is the winning choice. To show what this looks like in real life, let's use the example of prioritizing which education programs Creating the Future will pursue. When it comes to our education programs, the members of our team get excited about all sorts of new ideas to try. The one that many of us long to do is an online Creating the Future conference, either a full day or even 2 or 3 days. We get so excited about bringing people together from all over the world to learn and explore together. But we also have other programs to focus on. The slide on the screen shows just some of our education programs. There are how-to videos like this one and how-to articles at our website. Our faculty can use those videos and articles to create webinars or to teach workshops in their own communities. We're, of course, continuing to develop and teach our online immersion curriculum, and yes, we want to consider doing that conference. As we build our matrix then, first we'll list all those ideas. Next, we're going to list all the questions that will inform our decision, all the issues we want to consider. For this example, we'll consider just the ones on this slide, and we'll add those to the top of our matrix. Also at the top of the matrix, we're going to note which answer ranks highest. We prefer ranking from 1 to 3, with 1 being bad, 3 being good, and 2 somewhere between. When numbers are larger than this, you're going to waste a lot of time figuring out whether something is a 6 or a 7 or an 8, when really most answers are pretty simple. It's either good or bad. If it's in between or you can't decide, give it a 2. Now we'll ask the questions and fill in the answers. Is creating videos like this one a critical component of another program? We'll give it a 3 in that column. Will having those videos generate revenue for Creating the Future? Not with them being free here on YouTube. It gets a 1 in that column, all the way through to the last question about our last program idea. Now we can add them all up and see which one wins. In this example, it becomes clear that the videos and articles are the winners, followed by the online immersion. What you can see clearly from this example is just that. You can see it all. You're asking yourself questions and presenting the information in a way that your brain can absorb it. This is especially important when we have a bias towards one of the answers, and especially when that one idea is a big deal, like our conference idea. This allows the person whose idea that was to see, again, that vision thing, they can see why their idea won't be chosen. Rather than taking it personally, they can see why it logically doesn't make sense. The other important part, though, is that if they still really want to do that big thing, and we absolutely intend to do a conference, they now know precisely which issues need to be addressed before they give it a try. For the conference example, the issues revolve around leveraging the conference into other educational programs, the amount of work it would require, and the degree to which it could be renewable. If a team wanted to get together to put those conditions in place so that next year the conference makes more sense, they would now know precisely where to begin. We hope this Flash class gives you more clarity as you're making big decisions, because that clarity is a big part of bringing out the best in yourself and everyone around you.